Top 10 best places to visit in Seville. 10. The Cathedral of Seville and the Giralda. The Cathedral of Seville, the third largest in the world, was declared a World Heritage Site by UNESCO in 1987. Monumental complex consisting of the Giralda, the Patio de los Naranjos and the Royal Chapel. It is impossible not to think about the Giralda when they talk about Seville, and it is the most representative of this city. At the beginning was the minaret of the old Mosque of Aljama, on which the cathedral was built and is currently its bell tower. From outside we can contemplate the changes it has undergone, since the two lower thirds are from the original minaret of the end of the 12th century, Almohad era, and in the one of the superior third the change of the Christianity in the Renaissance is remarkable, work of Hernán Ruiz, with the bell tower and its culmination with the famous Giraldio, bigger bronze sculpture of its time in Europe. As a curious fact, at street level at the base of the Giralda, at ground level, you can find two Roman marble tombstones with inscriptions in Latin, since Muslims reused Roman and Visigoth materials in their constructions. 9. Real Alcazar of Seville. The Real Alcazar of Seville is the royal palace that has been active the longest in Europe. Its origin dates back to the evolution of the ancient Roman Hispales, and is as we know it now since the Muslim reconquest, with some integrations of other cultures. But it would be since then the headquarters of the crown and scope of the municipal power of the city. The Patio de las Doncellas stands out, of Andalusian mudéjar art. The Room of the Kings, Room of Carlos V with great tapestries, the Hall of the Emperor with tiles of the 15th century and Flemish tapestries, as well as the most important room, Ambassador's Hall, covered by a dome with arabesque ornaments. And the Alcazar Gardens with Arabic, Renaissance and modern characters, consists of several terraces, fountains, orange trees and palm trees. All this makes a favorable place for the filming of a large number of films and series. As we have already told you, it was one of the scenarios where Game of Thrones was filmed. Admission can be free if booked in advance. 8. Archive of the Indies. The General Archive of the Indies was created in the reign of Carlos III, with the objective of centralizing the documentation of the Spanish colonies, which it conserves in its more than 9 kilometers of shelves. With pieces of great historical value, autograph texts by Cristobal Colon, Fernando de Magallanes, Vasco Núñez de Balboa, Hernán Cortés and Francisco Pizarro. Also declared a World Heritage Site by UNESCO in 1987, it can be visited for free. 7. Walls and Barrio de Santa Cruz. Seville had 7 kilometers of wall, part of it had to be demolished for the growth of the city, but it is almost completely preserved. We propose a route through Seville next to the wall from the Intramuros, inside the city that protected, so you know very special places. From the Alcazars you can enter the famous Patio de Banderas that leads us to a passage of vaults, where you must look back, and look towards the Giralda. This is one of the favorite images of the Sevillans. You can continue to the Jewish Quarter and the Water Alley. It is undoubtedly one of the best ways to discover the famous Barrio de Santa Cruz. This walk culminates in the Plaza de Santa Cruz and the famous Murillo Gardens. The route of the wall continues until you reach the Arch and Basilica de la Macarena. 6. Torre del Oro. It is located on the left bank of the Guadalquivir River, next to the Maestranza bullring, both on the Paseo Colón. It is an Almohad tower that closed the passage to the Arenal through a section of wall, which linked it with the Torre de la Plata, forming part of the walls of Seville that defended the Alcazar. It was used as a chapel and later as a prison, currently houses the Naval Museum of Seville. The legend that it was a store of gold and silver in America is false. It was called Torre del Oro since the Almohad era because of the lime and straw mortar product shine, and its reflection in the river. 5. Triana neighborhood. Located west of the city, separated from the historic center by the Guadalquivir River, neighborhood of sailors, workers, potters and industrialists. Famous for being the cradle of bullfighters, singers and flamenco dancers, with their own style in this art. Triana saw artists like Antonio Canales, Marifé de Triana, Remedios Amaya, Maria Jiménez, Isabel Pantoja, Juan Belmont, Manuela Carrasco, among many others. Sign of identity and most common way to access the illustrious neighborhood is the Isabel II Bridge, known as the Triana Bridge, which links it with the city center. Once across the bridge we find the Plaza del Altozano, where the monument of Juan Belmont stands out, with a hollow at the chest of the bullfighter that frames views of the Maestranza, the Torre del Oro and the Giralda. A typical photographic framing from the neighborhood. A walk along Betis Street is essential, parallel to the river and offering the best views of the Sevillian skyline of the historic center. 4. Barrio Alfalfa and Plaza del Salvador. The Plaza del Salvador is synonymous with noon with friends and cold beer, the nerve center of what Sevillans call Sevillania. Located in the neighborhood of Alfalfa, in the heart of the city, it owes its name to the church that presides it. From its origins it is a space of sociability, being a forum in the Roman era. Currently around it many cheap breweries, beer from €1, continue to grant this social function. Located at the rear of the town hall, the most important streets of the city converge in this square, the Avenida de la Constitución and the parallel streets of downtown Sierpes and Tetuan. In this neighborhood, another tourist attraction is the Casa de Pilatos, an Italian Renaissance palace and Spanish mudéjar, a prototype of the Andalusian palace, which has been the scene of several films among which some Hollywood blockbusters stand out: Lawrence of Arabia, The Conquest of Paradise and The Kingdom of Heaven. Most recent is Night and Day with Cameron Diaz and Tom Cruise. 3. Metropole Parasol. The Metropole Parasol, or better known as Las Citas de Sevilla, is a mandatory visit in the Plaza de la Encarnación. The structure was designed by the German Jürgen Mayer, as a proposal to restore this square, started in 2005 and completed in 2011. Of 150 by 70 meters, with a height of 26 meters, it houses a viewpoint at the top from which you can see a wide panorama of Seville, for the price of €3. In its base, it has a market of commercial premises and the Antiquarium Museum, which contains the most important archaeological site of the Roman stage of Seville, which can be visited for the price of €2. 2. Alameda de Hercules. One of the places that escapes the Sevillian character, suggestive alternative scene of the city. Greater diversity, avant-garde and urban culture, a bohemian air that makes this space a different offer of leisure and enjoyment. The Alameda de Hercules is one of the most important walks in the Old Town, and the oldest public garden in Europe. Adjacent to the north end of the wall, surrounded by poplars, it contains in its central south part 2 Roman columns with the image of Hercules, founder of Seville, and Julius Caesar, who honored the ancient Ishbílies with his visit. 1. Plaza de España and Maria Luisa Park. One of the most spectacular works on the Spanish scene, the work of architect Aníbal González for the Ibero-American exhibition. We speak of a monumental mudéjar-style square, decorated with exposed brick, marble and ceramics, which give a Renaissance touch, and the Baroque touch of the 2 towers located on the sides. It is collated by a semicircular building of regionalist style that currently belongs to the military government, as the location of the general captaincy. Oriented towards the river, it shows the road to America, symbolizing Spain's embrace of the old colonies. It contains a channel that can be crossed through 4 bridges that symbolize the crowns of Spain, Castilla, León, Aragon and Navarre. 48 are the banks surrounding the square with decoration and ceramic ornaments that allude to the capitals of Spanish provinces and that illustrate a map, historical fact and shields of each one of them. Thanks for watching. If you liked the video, subscribe for more content.